So today I'm working around a cute little applique block, and I thought I would share with you a couple of my favorite rulers from Nancy Fishpaw, and she is so easy to quilt at AOL.com. And the first one is the straight ruler, which has a curved edge on the one side, straight on the other side, and all of the increment markings on the inside. As well as I do like to use her arc rulers, which are really handy for going around different arcs and shapes for support. And there's two sizes, so you can usually find one that's exactly suiting for what your project is or what you're working on. What I love about these rulers is that the arc is the same here as it is on this side, and the same with the ends. So it doesn't matter what side of the hopping foot you put it on, your arc is not going to change. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to work around that. I'm also using a circle ruler from Long Arm University, and right now I found as close as I can get to the size of circle that's in my block, just as a guide. So if you're not feeling confident enough to stitch freehand around applique, this is a great way to do it without an applique foot. Is just use the combinations of your different rulers. I keep them all right here with me. And I'm just going to start stitching up. Now I am stitching on my Gamel Statler stitcher, and I am in regulated, but I'm in plus mode. Right now I am at 12 stitches per inch regulated because I'm using rulers, but what the plus mode does is it takes these little tiny stitches in between when you're going a little bit faster, so that you can travel from one spot to another. See, right now it's just taking those tiny stitches until I speed up a bit, and then that regulator kicks in. Now, as you just saw, I had to do a little bit of a rotate with my ruler and kind of rock it around to get around that shape, because this circle is the closest I could get to this size of circle here. And so in order to make that work, instead of stitching just around the template, I kind of rock it as I go. Then I'm going to switch back to the straight line and stitch this line. In the background, we're keeping this very simple because it is a pretty busy quilt. So every time I get to a section where I'm finished stitching in the ditch around the applique and the seams, I do a little meander and travel over to the next spot. So I'm going to do that right now. And then I just meander away until I can find another spot to land to do a little bit more stitch in the ditch around this applique. Sometimes when you've got tiny applique and not a lot of space in between, it works well just to do a little stipple in there. So now I'm going to switch to my curve ruler, because that's going to let me get up the curve of this stem nice and neat, and right up there, right beside that applique, nice and tight. And then it gives me control so I'm not stitching accidentally over top of it. So here you're going to see, because this ruler is larger than this circle here, you're going to see how I'm going to just pivot that ruler slightly around to be able to get me around that circle. And I'm in the plus mode right now. Those little tacking stitches are the plus mode stitches. I'm not going fast enough for that regulator to kick in. Okay, so I made it nicely around that circle without stitching on any of that applique. And I'm going to come down here. Now you can hear it go a little faster because the regulator is kicking in. I'm going in a straight line. I'm going to go up here and travel back, pivot my ruler. The other thing that the plus mode does is, because it takes those extra stitches, if you don't stop in between repositioning your ruler, it will take a couple of extra tacking stitches. And what I like about that is that it makes your corners nice and sharp. Your corners don't end up getting rounded off, and that happens quite a bit. Alright, so some more space we need to fill in with some meandering here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that until we get over to another spot that we need to stitch in the ditch. And here it is. There's another spot we need to use our circle ruler. Slightly pivoting my ruler as I go so I can neatly get all the way around that applique, and then switch back to my curve. Okay, so now I've stitched around all my flowers up here. I have left a little bit of meandering to do, but I have some stitch in the ditch to do here as well. So I'm going to go over and do that. Get that in there. And at this point then I would need to travel over it. I think I'm going to stitch in the ditch on either side of these lines here. So I'm going to travel over back to that. And this is just going to make it look like there's a seam there, but it's not. That's the fabric. Okay. And then I have a little bit of meandering to do at the bottom here and another ditch to close off. And I do have to travel back down. So when I have to make a choice about traveling, I find it's easiest to travel back on the line that you most previously stitched, or choose one with the shortest distance of traveling. I could go here, here, and here, or I could just come right back down. And then I try to choose one that the stitch is going to hide the best in. So I'm using kind of a light silvery, a whitish silver thread, and I think it would hide better in the orange than it would that dark purple. It's just less contrast. So I'm going to come here, travel back on that spot so that I only have to stitch one line on that purple. And I'll do a little meandering in here, and then our block is done. And then if I stop on a point that I can travel into the next section, then I don't have to break my thread. So there is just a quick look at some of my favorite rulers and how I get around stitching around applique. Now that is not using one of the feet or the rulers that go around the hopping foot. You can do that as well, but because I'm switching back and forth between several rulers to get those arcs and straight lines just right, I find that these rulers work the best, and having a combination of them at your fingertips is really super handy. I will post a link to where you can find these rulers if you're interested in the comments below this video. Thanks for watching.